Have you ever met someone so entitled, so confident in their own self-importance, that you honestly start questioning whether you're the one out of line for defending your own property? That's exactly how this all started, with a knock at our lake house door on a Saturday morning and a woman so sure of herself. She rolled up with a barbecue grill, a stack of folding tables, and a clipboard full of rules that, as it turned out, she pretty much wrote herself. But you know what? Sometimes the only thing standing between a peaceful weekend and a federal investigation is the word no. And let me tell you, when my wife Claire said it, everything changed. So there I am, half a cup of coffee in, enjoying the sound of the lake and watching Claire stretch out on her yoga mat near the water. That's when the parade of vehicles starts snaking down our gravel driveway. Geraldine Whitlow's monster SUV, a catering van, neighbors hauling coolers and lawn chairs, all led by Geraldine herself in an apron that screams, "Community Barbecue Coordinator," in big blue letters. I'm not even fully awake yet, and already this woman's talking like she owns the shoreline. "Mark, hope you and Claire are ready for the Pine Ridge Community Barbecue. Biggest turnout yet." And I'll never forget the way she waved that clipboard, like she was summoning help or chasing away evil spirits. Claire, bless her, didn't miss a beat. She just stood up, still in yoga gear, and walked over with that look, the one that says she's already spotted the plot twist before the rest of us have even noticed there's a movie playing. "Geraldine, there must be some mistake. We weren't told about any community event, and this is private property." Polite but final. If you know Claire, you know that tone. But Geraldine? She wasn't hearing it. Her eyes got all wide. "Oh, didn't you get the official notification?" And she started rifling through this folder stuffed with legalese, color-coded tabs, even a map of our backyard labeled Designated Event Zone. She swears up and down it's all perfectly legitimate. Something about HOA Rule 15C, giving her the right to commandeer any lakefront property for community functions. Like we'd accidentally bought a timeshare in the Soviet Union or something. Now, you'd think this is where a reasonable person packs up the grill, right? Nope. Geraldine starts talking loud enough for the growing crowd, and I do mean growing, to hear all about how the rules are clear and community spirit demands a little flexibility. What she didn't count on was me pulling up the county records on my phone and, surprise, surprise, discovering there's no such thing as a legally incorporated Pine Ridge HOA, at least not according to anyone at the courthouse. I hold up my phone and show both ladies. "Strange, Geraldine County's never heard of your HOA. If there's no RAIL board, there's no Rule 15C, and there's definitely no right to host a party on my dock." The flash of panic on Geraldine's face was quick, but Claire caught it too. And that's when things got real interesting real fast. Geraldine, instead of backing down, doubles down, starts yelling about interim authority. Waves more papers, then, with a flourish, produces an invitation to the barbecue, complete with Claire's signature as event coordinator. Except, you guessed it, Claire's never seen the thing in her life. She leans over and whispers, "That's not my handwriting." Right then, I knew this was bigger than a nosy neighbor with a grill. It only escalated from there. Geraldine starts barking orders at the caterers and then, when it's clear we're not backing down, whips out her cell and calls 911. "Yes, this is an emergency," she tells the dispatcher, loud enough for half the county to hear. "The homeowners are interfering with a legally sanctioned community event and threatening violence." You know that feeling when you realize you're suddenly the main character in someone else's crazy story? Yeah, that happened. But see, my wife's not just good with numbers, she's a forensic accountant. The kind who'll chase down a misplaced decimal in a spreadsheet and unearth $1 million fraud without breaking a sweat. While Geraldine's putting on her best Broadway performance, Claire's snapping photos of every document, every receipt, every detail. One receipt, from the catering company, caught her eye. $1,200 billed to the Pine Ridge HOA Community Fund. Another for chair rentals to the same phantom account. If there's no HOA, where's the money going? About then, the cavalry arrives. Officer Mitchell, local police, walks up with the face of a man who's seen too many neighborhood squabbles. Geraldine launches into her story. "Officer, they're disrupting the community barbecue, violating HOA rules. I have documentation." Waving her papers around like they're golden tickets. Mitchell gives her the cop look, reads through the rules. And then, in the driest voice you've ever heard, says, "Ma'am, even real HOA bylaws aren't criminal law. You can't arrest someone for refusing to host a barbecue." That's when Claire steps in, cool as ice. "Officer, not only was my signature forged, but these receipts show significant spending from an account that doesn't exist legally." She pulls up the county records and her photos, lays it all out, and you can see the gears turning in Mitchell's head. Suddenly, this isn't a civil squabble, it's smelling a lot like fraud. And now twist time. Tom Walker, our neighbor and a retired firefighter, steps forward. Turns out, last year he tried to install a fire hydrant on his lot. Geraldine blocked him, said the HOA wouldn't approve the budget. But if there's no HOA, then who's been controlling the purse strings and signing off on these budgets? Suddenly, it's not just our problem, it's the entire neighborhood's. Things spiral fast. Geraldine starts talking in circles, interim authority, pending paperwork, community tradition, but Officer Mitchell's having none of it. While he's scribbling notes, Claire gets a call back from Janet Morrison, the county clerk, and Janet drops the hammer. "Mark, someone's been submitting fake HOA documents for 2 years. No official entity exists. This looks like fraud." Vindication, baby. Now, with the law on our side and a crowd watching, I decide it's time to flip the script. "Officer, I'd like you to document everything for a criminal investigation. If someone's been forging official documents, that's a crime." Geraldine starts to crack, her face going from furious to green. Claire's still working her magic, cross-referencing payments with business licenses, and even finds online complaints from other communities with the same scam, same receipts, same names. Suddenly, Geraldine isn't just a busybody with a grill, she's part of a fraud ring. The police tell her not to leave town. Tom, meanwhile, steps up again and says, "Officer, she shut down our attempt to organize a real community meeting. Sent emails warning we'd be violating the charter, but if there's no charter, that's just intimidation. And the more we dig, the more it's clear. Geraldine's been isolating neighbors, shutting down real organization, and keeping the money flowing through her hands." Right about then, Claire hits pay dirt. The previous community leader, Robert Chase, suddenly resigned 2 years ago, citing financial irregularities and personal threats. The very next month, Geraldine took over. She's not just a fraud, she's been running this playbook for years. Of course, with her back against the wall, Geraldine starts screaming about slander and tradition and how we outsiders just don't understand. Officer Mitchell cuts her off. "If you have real documentation, now's the time." She babbles about interim governance and legal precedents, but then accidentally lets slip that she pushed Robert Chase out and took over. That's when my phone buzzes. Janet, the clerk, has more for us. Turns out Robert filed a formal complaint, named Geraldine, and described being threatened to turn over all community records. Boom. There it is. Fraud, intimidation, conspiracy, the works. And here's where we go from defense to offense. I hop on the community Facebook page, which, by the way, Geraldine had locked down for years, and call an emergency meeting for that night, live streamed for everyone to see. If we're exposing this, it'll be public and by the book. That night, the place is packed. We show the evidence: fake signatures, fake rules, forged receipts, Robert's affidavit. It's all on screen, and by the time I call for a vote of no confidence, the ayes are so loud the windows rattle. Even Geraldine's old friends can't look her in the eye. And when she blows up screaming, "You can't vote me out. I am this community," Tom delivers the line of the night. "Ma'am, you were never voted in, so you can sure as heck be voted out." That video goes viral, and suddenly, what started as a barbecue dispute is trending on local news. The calls start rolling in. A civil rights lawyer offers to represent us pro bono. This isn't just fraud. This is organized crime, and you've just blown the case wide open. Within hours, the FBI's involved. Turns out, Geraldine's been pulling this scam in communities across 3 states, laundering money through fake shell companies, and using the same script every time. Our neighbor Tom, bless him, comes over the next day with a digital recorder. He's got Geraldine on tape admitting, "By the time they figure it out, I've already got their money, and there's always another bunch of suckers." That recording, combined with Claire's forensic work, is all the FBI needs. By the following week, Agents are executing search warrants, freezing accounts, and hauling out boxes of evidence from Geraldine's place and her husband Frank's business, which, shocker, is just a front for laundering HOA dues. The federal agents say it's the biggest community fraud operation they've ever seen, with over $2 million stolen from hundreds of families. Geraldine gets hauled off in cuffs, tried to shred documents in her fireplace, but the feds are too quick for her. Frank tries to cut a deal, spills everything. Even Geraldine's lawyer, a guy named Derek, gets busted for impersonating an attorney. His interview on local news is so pitiful it actually goes viral for comic relief. When the verdict comes in, Geraldine gets 4 years, full restitution, and 3 years of probation. Frank does 18 months. Derek winds up doing community service at a real law firm and, last I heard, became a paralegal for a real HOA attorney, which is almost too perfect. But the best part? The dominoes keep falling. The FBI cracks down on the whole network, dozens of arrests, millions in restitution, and training seminars for agents based on what we uncovered. And our little lake house community finally gets a real election, real bylaws, and an actual sense of trust. Claire's elected treasurer, naturally. Tom's our first real president, and the new rules guarantee nobody ever gets railroaded by a fake HOA again. A year later, we finally host a real community barbecue. No drama. No yelling, just neighbors, good food, and a few federal agents who came back to say thanks. And as Tom raised his beer and toasted, saying no to fake authority and yes to real community, I realized how far we'd come, not just from the chaos, but from the fear that people like Geraldine thrive on. So let me ask you, have you ever had to stand up to someone waving a fake rulebook, convinced that nobody would dare challenge them? What would you have done if it was your backyard? Drop a comment below. Let's hear your stories about fighting for what's right, and how sometimes just saying no is the first step to something way bigger than you ever imagined.